All right. Hey, everybody. Good evening. How was everybody tonight? Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. That's great. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. My name is John Phillips. I'm the Senior Manager of Runner Programming and Products here at New York Roadrunners. I know it's a beautiful day out, so we're happy that you're spending a little bit of time inside and then you guys can go run. But this is our second installment of the Master Series, and the focus of that is really bringing education about running well beyond your years and making sure that you're running healthy and giving you guys the information and necessary equipment to continue running. And that's what we do here at New York Runners, is focus on running for life. So today we have an incredible author, runner, 5-time New York City Marathon. Yes, finisher, and training for her 6th. Barbara Hannah Grufferman, she's going to come up and talk about bone health. And today, this month is National Osteoporosis Month. So really want to focus on educating bone health. But let me just read a quick intro about Barbara here. She's the author of the recently published Love Your Age, The Small Step Solution to a Better, Longer, Happier Life. She's a nationally recognized advocate for positive living and a frequent guest on radio and television shows, most recently on Live with Kelly and Ryan. And I love this. She just made history convincing Ryan Seacrest to dunk his face in a bowl of ice water. True. Yeah. How'd it go? He loved it, yeah. Barbara started running around age 50, and she has completed 5 marathons and 4 were in New York. So you're going for your 5th or 6th. And she has ran New York's only ultra, the NYR 60K, and she's a longtime New York Roadrunners member, and she runs with the NYC Galloway Running Club, who just left, right? We got 2 right here, good. Awesome. And as a bone health ambassador and trustee of National Osteoporosis Foundation, Barbara is here to talk to us about why we all need to start taking better care of our bones and how running can help. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you. As John just said, it really is a beautiful evening, and I really appreciate the fact that you're here with me tonight for just a little while, talking about something that's very, very important to all of us, not just those of us over 50, but even those of us who are much, much younger than that, and I'll get to that in a minute. Yes, May is National Osteoporosis Month. Yay, the perfect time to celebrate our bones and learn how to take even better care of them in some very, very simple ways. Number one, it's really interesting. Most people don't realize just how prevalent osteoporosis and low bone density, which is kind of like the path leading to osteoporosis, is in America. About 54 million people have low bone density and or osteoporosis. That's a lot of people. In fact, half of all women over 50 will break a bone because of osteoporosis at some point in their life, and 1 in 4 men. So that's a lot of people out there, and many of us don't even know if we have low bone density or even if we have osteoporosis, unless you happen to fall and break something. And if you're lucky enough to have a doctor who says you must go get a bone density test to find out why you broke something, you may not even know what the status of your bones are. So I just want to point that out. It's considered a silent disease, and it is a disease. It's a bone disease, and you very often just don't know. So the best protection and the best prevention is to just assume, and with this knowledge, that as we get older, our bones do get thinner and weaker, that you do everything you can to start protecting them right now, whatever age you are. And by the way, it's never too late, it's never too early. Let me just give you a quick background about why bone health is so important no matter what age you are, is because when we're little kids and we're running around, jumping, doing leapfrog and jumping jacks and running around like kids do, your bones are great. They're solid, they're dense, they couldn't be better. And as we get a little older, we hit our mid-20s, late 20s, that is when we hit our what is called peak bone mass. And that's when they are their absolute most dense and will ever be the most dense in your lifetime. Every year after that, they get weaker and thinner. That's just part of the natural aging process. However, some of us will be more predisposed to actually succumbing to bone disease or accelerated bone loss because of family history. So you should always know your family history. Existing conditions such as autoimmune disease, like rheumatoid arthritis, certain gastro issues. So you really need to assess your own health status to see what your risks are in the future for bone loss, accelerated, and osteoporosis. But here's the thing, and I'm glad that we have a few people here who are younger than me in the audience, because it's important that you know that, as I said, bone loss starts to happen right after our mid-20s, late 20s. I mean, think about that, unless you start to do the right things for yourself. And when you fall and you break a bone, sure, it's annoying. It can be very inconvenient. And that happened to me, which I'll get to in a second. But for some people, especially the elderly, it can be really quite debilitating. My own mother fell on January 1st when we were visiting her in Virginia for the holidays. And she was quite mobile until then, but she fell in her bathroom. And she did break a hip. She had surgery. And she has, since then, she has been in and out of the hospital 5 times. She will have to use a walker for the rest of her life. She is now debilitated. This is what we want to avoid. This is what we want to avoid. My own story is that when I was approaching 50 and confused about a lot of things, and maybe I was so confused this one particular day as I was walking down the street with my dog, I literally tumbled over my own 2 feet, don't even know what it was, and fell. And I did break something. I broke my arm. It was a small fracture, but it was a fracture nevertheless. Luckily, I did have a good doctor who said to me, go and get a bone density test. Get your baseline. We need to know why your arm broke. That fall wasn't so hard. So I did, and turned out that, no, I didn't have osteoporosis, but I had what is called low bone density, or also known as osteopenia. And that is like, if you can envision a train, and you're on that train, and that train is heading right to the last stop, which is osteoporosis. So I, of course, wanted to get off that train as soon as possible. He told me, he gave me some tips about what to do, which of course I will share with you now. And he also told me to look at the National Osteoporosis Foundation website for more detailed information, which I also did. And of course I encourage everyone to do that as well, NOF.org. I am the Bone Health Ambassador for NOF, and I do a lot of work with them in trying to promote bone health. So some of the tips that he gave me, of course, which now I'll share with you, which continue to work for me, because 11 years later, I'm now 61, 11 years later, only 4 months ago, I got, which is probably maybe my 4th bone density test, and it showed that I pretty much stopped that train. I jumped off of that osteoporosis train. And that, which means it's never too late, because I want to tell you that I never did anything before I was 50. I mean, yeah, I did Jane Fonda. Who didn't? Who here also did the Jane Fonda, burn, whatever, right? I mean, but that was a long time ago. And I know I wasn't eating all the right things for myself either, like so many of us. So I really had this epiphany, this aha moment, because of that tripping and breaking my bone. So that's when I started to run. I happened to read an article about Jeff Galloway, and I just bought my first pair of running shoes, and I embarked on my new journey. And I really do give Jeff Galloway. Does everyone know Jeff? I know there's a few Galloway people. Everyone know Jeff Galloway. I mean, it's an incredible program, especially for someone who is turning 50 and just starting to run for the first time, really seriously, in her life. So, and then since then, you know, I've run a couple of marathons. I run several times a week, and I'm a dedicated, committed runner at this point in my life, which is a wonderful thing that I never would have thought would be the case before I was 50 and this happened. But running is one of those perfect exercises to do to help prevent osteoporosis, because we want to do 3 kinds of exercises. One is balance. You want to not fall. So for the rest of your life, you want to have good balance and flexibility. One of the easiest things to do, which anybody can do, and I recommend it all the time, if you're standing online in the supermarket, talking on the telephone, wherever, just lift one foot and stand on the other for a few minutes, and then flip over. And just keep doing that. It will help your balance so much. Do yoga, do anything like that that will help with the balance and flexibility. The next, of course, is strength training. You want to use free weights or machines, or what I like to do is to use my own body weight and to do push-ups and the plank and squats. Does anybody else do that, or is it, yeah? I mean, you all know what the plank is, right? I mean, this is a wonderful audience for me because you're already like 20 steps ahead of me, you know, in doing all of these things, which is so, so wonderful, which is not really true of most of America, and you probably know that too. So you've got to do the strength training exercise. And I have to say, too, this is a little bit of a nag. I meet many runners who are really committed runners like I am, but then they forget about the rest of their bodies. You're running, but maybe you're forgetting that, hey, you also need to strengthen your arms, you need to strengthen your core, and all of this will also help you to be a more powerful runner, as it turns out. But you don't want to forget about the other parts of your body. So that's really important for running. So the third type of exercise that you want to make sure you do is weight bearing. And that's really more when, you know, you're vertical and there's you know, gravity is involved, and so the best things that you can do are running, for sure, but also jumping jacks, jump rope, just jumping around your house. And then I saw a study recently that talked about jumping on one foot, literally jumping on one foot and then jumping on the other foot, because you're getting an even bigger jolt for your bones when you use one leg than when you're jumping just with 2. So try that out too. It also has like a double thing because it's also helping with your balance. So I do that a lot as well. Oh, lost that, but I'll yell. ran out of juice. Thank you. So that's real. Nope. So that's really, really important. Is also the weight bearing exercises. And here's the really good news. I mean, often when I'm talking about this, I could see people
check.
thinking, okay, let me get this straight. So I have to do that for my heart health, then I have to do some of that for my brain health, and then I have to, you know, no, guess what? You know, guess what? It's okay. Oh, okay. So, you know, what I love to say is, because I hate to be overwhelmed, because then you don't do it. Then you don't do anything. And I find that's true of a lot of people. It's certainly true of me. So really, think about it this way. What's good for your heart, what's good for your lungs, what's good for your skin, what's good for your brain, what's good for your, you know, sex drive, what's good for your sleep, what's good for your weight. You name the body part, inside or out, and it's also good for your bones, truly. So all of these exercises we're talking about, it's also good for every other body part, except you're really also focusing on really making sure your bones are nice and dense. You don't want to fall and break a bone. Keep that in your head. No fall, no broken bones. No fall, no broken bones. That's your mantra as we move on in years, right? Now, about eating, because this is super important too. A lot of confusion out there, but because it's the National Osteoporosis Foundation, I just want to kind of set you straight on a few things, because there's been discussion about calcium and kidney stones and lots of stuff. So the best thing you can do regarding calcium, and you need about 1,200 milligrams of calcium a day, for most men and women is to get it from food. NOF says food first. And you should be able to get it from food. There's a wide variety of foods in different categories, you know, dairy and fish and vegetables that you can get calcium from, and enough. But if for some reason you're not getting it, then you need to talk with your doctor about supplementation. Very simple. Then vitamin D. Most people don't know what their vitamin D levels are, but if you go for your annual physical, maybe you should just get some baseline number. I did, again, when I turned 50 and kind of was reassessing everything, and it was incredibly low, as most people's are, because we're wearing sunscreen. We're not going out in the sun like we used to, which is a natural way to get vitamin D, but that has its own risks. And so, you know, many of us are low in vitamin D. And you need vitamin D to absorb the calcium in your body. That's just the way it is. So you want to get about 2,000 vitamin D a day. That's kind of your goal. And that you will probably need to take a supplement for. Yes, there are some foods that have vitamin D, but it's a little trickier, right? So these are the very, very, very important, simple things that you can do. But I was so intrigued that running, with all the research that I've looked at, running is truly one of the most effective ways to keep your bones dense for life. So, you know, I'm planning on running for the rest of my life. I see no reason why I won't or can't. I'm wearing my Hoka 1-1 super cushion shoes to keep my bones, you know, from, you know, overwork and my joints from getting too much too much jolting. But I still will continue to do from my bones, give my bones the attention that they need. And by the way, it's not just your bones, it's also the muscles that support your bones. But everything we're talking about right now, except maybe to add a little extra protein in for your muscles, your muscle mass, because we do lose muscle mass as we get older as well. But all of these exercises we're talking about will also benefit your muscles, which you need to keep strong too. Now, I wanted to just pick up a copy, if you don't mind, of my newest book, published by National Geographic. I'm very happy. It just came out a couple of months ago. Love Your Age, and I cover a lot more than fitness and nutritional eating. I cover relationships and all kinds of, you know, very important aspects of what I call of a life well lived. And I also have a booklet from the National Osteoporosis Foundation with all the foods that you can eat, and a couple of recipes for calcium and vitamin D, and then an overview also from NOF about really everything I've been talking about with a little more detail about osteoporosis and bone health and preventing it. Now, one caveat to what I was saying before about the jumping and running, if you already have osteoporosis, if you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis or you're very close to that point, you may want to first talk with your doctor. You probably don't want to jolt your body too much. I think that would probably be a mistake, and I think any expert, doctor would say that. So you may want to have a chat with your doctor before you start thinking about doing jumping jacks. Now, talking about jumping jacks, one of the best things you can do for your heart and for your bones is jumping jacks. So the National Osteoporosis Foundation, as a way to spread the message in a fun way about bone health and to get everyone focused on bone health, started a challenge, and it's called the Jumping Jack Challenge. And so what it is you have somebody, very simple, you have somebody videotape you doing 10 jumping jacks in 10 seconds or less. And then you use the hashtag Jumping Jack Challenge, tag the National Osteoporosis Foundation, and then tag friends of yours and family members that you want to have take on the challenge too. And you see how that goes. The more we do, the more we spread the message around, the more people will really take their bones more seriously. You know, we always think about our heart and we think about other parts of our bodies, but we don't think enough about our bones who do so much for us, who support us day in and day out. And I think that's really important. So anyway, I was telling you about these 3 things, and what I'm doing is for anyone, you know, Mother's Day is coming up, for yourself, for a friend, for a mother, I'd like to offer these pamphlets as well as a copy of the book if you would consider making a small donation to the National Osteoporosis Foundation in honor of National Osteoporosis Month. And to do that from your phones, it's www.nof.org. And it's very simple, quick, $20 if you would consider that. I would be really, really, really grateful. We have a lot of work to do, the NOF and all of us involved in NOF, including you know, things that are taking place with healthcare and healthcare reimbursements for bone density tests, which are being cut back considerably. So there's also a lot of work that we're doing in Washington, D.C. And this is really, really, really important, especially, like I said, I'm thinking about my own mother and how easy it is to just trip over something and fall and break a bone and be debilitated for the rest of your life. So a bone density test could really help if you get them early enough so you have your baseline. Now, you may be thinking, okay, when do you get a bone density test? I'll tell you quickly. For women 60 and over, if there have been no breaks, get a bone density test. For men 70. And if you're younger than that, like I was 50, and I fell and broke something, then you absolutely must get a bone density test to find out why did you break something. So that's really, really, really critical. So, that would be really, really wonderful if you would consider that. And I have one more, you know, bit of good news, which I'm really excited about. The National Osteoporosis Foundation is, for the first time, an official charity partner with the New York Road Runners Association, NYRR, and we are going to be, you know, running as a team, an official charity team in the TCS 2018 marathon, New York City Marathon. So I'm really excited about that. I'm serving as captain and very honored by that. So we'll be recruiting some other people over 50. That's going to be our team to run the marathon. So more news on that. So I think I will now open it to questions.
Let's get that question on the...
I will definitely get back to you on that. I think that detail is still being... Sorry?
If anybody's question, we can just use the mic so everybody can hear.
Great. Yeah. Interested. Okay. Have somebody who's interested to be part of the team. So we're really excited about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, please.
I understand that you're saying that if you break something before you're 50, but if you don't and you want to find out about a bone density, is that something insurance will pay for, or is it that you have to be over 60 or over 70?
Well, first of all, it depends upon your insurance company, right?
Yeah.
Right. So,
but you know how the insurance
yes,
companies
sometimes... it's for people who are on Medicare? Is that what you're really talking about?
No, if anything, you know how like at 50 they have colonoscopies
yes.
and it's paid for, or certain blood tests. Is something like this bone density, is it something that the government or everyone, you know, the doctors or whatever, all think that it should be, that more insurance companies are covering
They absolutely think it definitely should be, yes, for the most part. And it really depends upon the
insurance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
but the reimbursement the reimbursement though for Medicare really is a very, very big issue at the moment.
I don't think a lot of insurance companies cover, you know, much of the bone density testing.
Oh, really?
I don't believe they do.
Is there anything of a blood test, or it's strictly the bone density?
It's a 5 or 10 minute test. It's completely non-invasive.
No,
Yeah.
but is
Oh.
there also a blood test that would say anything? I
It's
don't
no,
know.
it's really the bone density test that
Okay.
will. It's the gold standard of seeing where you are, how close you are to osteoporosis, if you have osteoporosis, and see. Here's the thing. My philosophy is. It's great to know. Of course, it's great to know. So especially so that you don't overdo things, like do jumping jacks if you do have osteoporosis but don't realize it. But I say start the prevention now, no matter what your age. Just do these things. They're not so hard. There wasn't anything I mentioned that was really complicated or difficult to do. And you're probably doing a lot of them already. But, get started as soon as you can. Again, never too early and certainly never too late. But it's important to know if you break something and you're around 50 or under 60, why you broke something, to see where you are.
Hi, I've never done the bone density, but what is a measurement or a benchmark number or score that you're looking for if you get a bone density check?
You know what? Go on to nof.org, and it takes you through the whole thing. It's a little complicated to look at the number, but you should look at that, and it's very clearly laid out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then should you, what should you ask your doctor if you've never had it before, and he's got the test results? What is he likely to tell you? Because I'm trying to text the information to my mother.
Okay, so first of all, you should have a discussion with your physician about your risks, your own personal risks. You may have risks that I don't have. Family history. If you're small-boned and thin, you're at risk. If you're a woman, you're at risk. If you've gone through menopause, because we all know what happens when we go through menopause, estrogen levels drop, and that wreaks havoc with your whole body, including your bone density. So there are all these, if you drink a lot of alcohol, if you smoke. So please, everyone, don't smoke and limit your alcohol intake. But again, just like a heart health or brain health, all of these, it's all the same. You don't want to smoke. You don't want to overdrink. But these are some of the risk factors that your mother should really be discussing with her physician. And can I ask how old she is?
She's 75.
And she's never had one?
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay, she probably
had-
should. So just to see where she is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yes.
Hi, Barbara. I have a quick question for anybody who I heard it's not always easy to know if you have osteoporosis.
Correct.
Are there things you could look out for?
Yes, absolutely. One of them, as I mentioned, of course, if you fall and break something, like why did you break something? But the other is if you're losing inches. If you were 5'10" and all of a sudden you're 5'9" or 5'8", that's really a red flag and needs to be discussed with your doctor because
My
that
mom,
could be,
I just saw her, and she got a little shorter. I just
Yeah.
saw her 2 weeks ago, and before that she was maybe, it seemed like 2 inches taller.
Really?
Well, I mean,
yeah, no, but
it
I
just
mean,
seemed odd to
it's
me.
like, wow. No, yes. Has she ever had one? Do you know? Has she ever had a bone
No, I
density
could look into
test?
that.
Yeah, that she should definitely have a bone density test if she hasn't had one yet, for sure. And you know what? Share these tips with her. Make sure that she's eating the calcium and getting the vitamin D. And doing the strength training exercises. I mean, that's really the biggest thing, is getting people to exercise in this country. I think we all know this. And here's another, and there's one other thing too. Another sign, if there is a curve in the spine or the back that you just can't straighten up, then that's a real red flag. You ever see elderly people who are a little hunched over and they're walking down, and people think that that's like aging. No, it is not. That is not because of aging. It's because that person has, without a doubt, a fracture in his or her spine that's probably been undetected. Okay? I mean, that's huge. Mm-hmm. Yes.
My last one.
Oh, no.
With regards to kids these days,
Yeah,
just because you were supposed to start early, right? And it's just
yes.
like my brother's son is addicted to all these smart devices, and I really worry in terms of like the physical activity and things like that. I'm a runner, but I don't see him doing that. So what could we be doing for our younger generation if we have kids or if we have grandkids?
You know, you were like reading my mind. That was something I was just going to start talking about. Thank you for bringing it up, because this is a concern. It's a concern that our children, our next generation, are not moving their bodies, that they're getting heavier. We all know that because they're playing with their phones, they're playing with their iPad, whatever. And this is a really big concern. I remember when I was a kid, I mean, I was raised in Brooklyn, and, you know, we didn't have any of that. None of us. I mean, a lot of us did not. And we were out running, literally running around all day long and doing leapfrog and doing jump. We did these things. And now they're not. Now they're not. And it's a really big concern. And I saw that change over. I saw it a bit with my own two kids who are now 24 and 20, but I got them with my gentle, loving nagging back on track, you know, with either running or certainly they're doing strength training, so they're okay. But it's like these young kids. So I think that it's, we have an initiative in NOF that we're really trying very hard to get the message out to schools and to parents to make sure that they focus on this so that kids do move their bodies, because it's a concern. They're heading in the wrong direction in that respect. Yeah. So you said you have a nephew. You should like bring him out for runs with you. I know. He wants to play the video game, right? I know. He'll text you though. Are there any other questions at all about foods? Oh yeah.
I was just wondering. Thank you. I did surgery on my foot, last one 3 months ago, and I have pins in the bone. What is the impact, or what should I be looking to do, you know, to get back into running in terms of food and everything else?
Mm-hmm. I would really have to bow to your physician on that, because I'm not sure what he or she would allow you to do or recommend that you do. But are you on medication to help with that? No. Are you healing well? I mean, do you feel good? Ready to start running? Oh God, I know that feeling. Like, you know, when we're laid out for a bad cold or something, it's like, oh no, got to get back. I know. Is anybody running in the Japan run this weekend? Yeah. And what about Brooklyn half? Yeah. My first. I'm looking forward. Missed it last year. So, any other questions at all? Yes.
I just want to mention there's an outfit called Lifeline Screening that actually will do an osteoporosis screening, you know, if you go to them. And
yeah,
so
that's
they're a resource.
But you mean as part of the overall, like?
They do a package of screenings for your heart and for stuff like that. It's like $150 or something like that. But they come around now and then they will. But osteoporosis, bone density, is one of the tests.
Is one of the tests.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. No.
So
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Thank you to Barbara.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate you spending time with me. Thank you.
And Barbara will be over
Thank you,
here selling any of her books and signing her books as well. And thanks again, and have some great spring running. Enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you.